Mr. Speaker, we all remember that Thursday in March, just over 2 years ago, when our travel plans were hastily canceled, when our children came home from school, when we all rushed to the grocery stores to buy toilet paper and hand sanitizer. We realized then that this virus would disrupt our lives. But few of us imagined quite how much or for quite how long. And yet, here we are. We bent, but we did not break. Canadians have done everything that was asked of them, and more, Mr. Speaker. And so, to all of them, to all of you, I want to start by saying thank you. Et j'ai maintenant l'honneur de présenter mon 12e budget fédéral. J'ai déposé mon premier en avril 2021. Dans l'année qui a précédé ce budget, l'économie canadienne était sur le point de s'effondrer. Notre économie s'était contractée de 17%. Cela a donné lieu à la plus grave récession depuis les années 30. 3 millions de Canadiens et de Canadiennes avaient perdu leur emploi. Ce fut un choc épouvantable. La Grande Dépression a marqué le pays pendant une génération. Il était tout à fait raisonnable de craindre que la récession causée par la COVID-19 nous paralyse également pendant des années. Que des millions de Canadiens et de Canadiennes soient encore aujourd'hui sans emploi et qu'il fait des années pour rebâtir notre pays. Nous savions que nous ne pouvions pas laisser cela arriver. Nous avons donc mis en place des mesures de soutien d'urgence sans précédent pour les familles et les entreprises canadiennes. Nous avons constamment mis l'accent sur les emplois pour nous assurer que les Canadiens et les Canadiennes conservent leur emploi et que leur employeur garde la tête hors de l'eau. C'était un plan audacieux et il a fonctionné. Our economy has now recovered 112% of the jobs that were lost during those awful first months. Compared to just 90% in the United States. Our employment rate is down to just 5.5%, close to the 5.4% low in 2019 that was Canada's best in 5 decades. Our real GDP is more than a full percentage point above where it was before the pandemic. Think about that. After a devastating recession, after wave after wave, and lockdown after lockdown, our economy has not just recovered. It is booming. Today, Canada has come roaring back. But Canadians know that fighting COVID and the COVID recession came at a high price. Inflation, a global phenomenon, is making things more expensive in Canada, too. Snarled supply chains have driven prices higher at the checkout counter. Buying a house is out of reach for far too many Canadians. And now, Putin's barbaric war is making food and gas even more expensive. The money that rescued Canadians and the Canadian economy, 8 out of every $10 invested, was deployed chiefly and rightly by the federal government. But our ability to spend is not infinite. The time for extraordinary COVID support is over. And we will review and reduce government spending, because that is the responsible thing to do. On this point, Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. We are absolutely determined that our debt to GDP ratio must continue to decline. Our deficits must continue to be reduced. The pandemic debt we incurred to keep Canadians safe and solvent must be paid down, and it is being paid down. This is our fiscal anchor. This is a line we will not cross. It will ensure that our finances remain sustainable. Canada has a proud tradition of fiscal responsibility. It is my duty to maintain it, and I will. So, now is the time for us to focus, with smart investments and a clarity of purpose, on growing our economy and on making life more affordable for Canadians. That is what our government proposes to do. And here's how we propose to do it. Pillar 1 of our plan is investing in the backbone of a strong and growing country, our people. Commençons par le logement. Le logement est un besoin humain fondamental, mais aussi un impératif économique. Notre économie est bâtie par des gens, et ces gens ont besoin de logement où vivre. Le problème est tout simplement le suivant. Le Canada n'a pas suffisamment de logements. Il nous en faut plus, et ce, rapidement. Le budget constitue le plan le plus ambitieux de l'histoire du Canada à mettre en œuvre pour régler ce défi important. Au cours des 10 prochaines années, nous doublerons le nombre de logements que nous construirons. Cette mission doit devenir un grand effort national. Il demandera un nouvel esprit de collaboration. Les provinces et les territoires, les villes et les municipalités, le secteur privé et les organismes à but non lucratif. Tous devront travailler avec nous pour construire les logements dont les Canadiens et les Canadiennes ont besoin. Over the next 10 years, we will double the number of new homes we will build. This must become a great national effort, and it will demand a new spirit of collaboration. Provinces and territories, cities and towns, the private sector and nonprofits all working together with us to build the homes that Canadians need. We will invest in building more homes and in bringing down the barriers that keep them from being built. We will invest in the rental housing that so many count on. We will make it easier for our young people to get those first keys of their own. And we will make the market fairer for Canadians. We will prevent foreign investors from parking their money in Canada by buying up homes. We will make sure that houses are being used as homes for Canadian families rather than as a speculative financial asset class. But on housing, I would like to offer one caution. There is no one silver bullet which will immediately, once and forever, make every Canadian a homeowner in the neighborhood where they want to live. As Canada grows, and as a growing Canada becomes more and more prosperous, we will need to continue to invest year after year after year in building more homes for a growing country. Et, Monsieur le Président, un pays en croissance et une économie en croissance exigent également une main-d'œuvre en croissance. La pénurie de travailleurs et de travailleurs qualifiés restreint les économies industrialisées partout dans le monde. Mais il y a de bonnes nouvelles, Monsieur le Président. En 2020, le Canada a connu la croissance démographique la plus rapide du G7. À l'heure où le monde cherche désespérément des travailleurs et des gens du talent, l'enthousiasme inégalé de notre pays à l'idée d'accueillir de nouveaux Canadiens est une puissante moteur de prospérité économique. Ce budget facilitera l'accueil des immigrants qualifiés dont notre économie a besoin pour qu'ils soient ici, chez eux. Et nous ferons en sorte qu'ils puissent travailler dans le domaine pour lequel ils ont été formés. We will also invest in the determined and talented workers who are already here. We will make it more affordable for people working in the skilled trades to travel to where the jobs are. Programs like the Enhanced Canada Workers Benefit will make it more worthwhile for people to work and will make life more affordable for our lowest paid and very often most essential workers. We will invest in the skills that Canadian workers need to fill the good-paying jobs of today and tomorrow. And we will break down barriers and ensure that everyone is able to roll up their sleeves and get to work. And yes, one of those barriers is affordable childcare. When we promised less than a year ago to make high-quality, affordable childcare a reality for all Canadians, our plan was certainly welcomed. But the cheers were muted by justifiable skepticism. After all, similar promises had been made and broken for decades. 5 decades, in fact. That's why, as I stand here today, I am so glad to say we have delivered. We have now signed agreements on early learning and childcare with every single province and territory in our great country. This is women's liberation. It will mean more women no longer need to choose between motherhood and a career. This is feminist economic policy in action, and it will make life more affordable for middle-class Canadian families. Fees are already being slashed across the country. By the end of this year, they will be reduced by an average of 50%. And in 3 years, childcare will cost an average of just $10 a day. From coast to coast to coast. Housing and immigration and skills and childcare. These are social policies, to be sure. But just as importantly, they are economic policies as well. Our strategy is what Janet Yellen, the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, recently dubbed modern supply-side economics. Modern supply-side economics borrows the supply-sider's key insight that increasing supply is fundamental to growth, but takes a progressive, people-centered approach. At a time when our chief economic problem is that there is too much demand chasing too little supply, this set of people-centered policies provides exactly what Canada needs right now. This pillar will create supply-led growth that satisfies the demand today driving inflation. It will help our economy grow sustainably, and it will make all of our lives more affordable. Notre deuxième pilier pour la croissance est la transition verte. Au Canada et dans le monde entier, l'action climatique n'est plus une question du débat politique ou de conviction personnelle. C'est un défi existentiel, donc aussi une nécessité économique. Il s'agit de la plus importante transformation économique mondiale depuis la révolution industrielle. Le Canada peut devenir un chef de file ou traîner de la patte. Ce n'est pas du tout une option. Et c'est pourquoi notre gouvernement investit de manière urgente dans cette transition. Notre plan est dicté par notre prix national sur la pollution, la mesure incitative à l'action climatique la plus intelligente et la plus efficace. Ce budget propose également l'introduction de nouveaux fonds de croissance du Canada. Celui-ci permettra d'attirer des milliards de dollars en capital privé dont nous avons besoin pour transformer notre économie à grande vitesse et à grande échelle. Nous investirons dans les minéraux et les métaux critiques en grande abondance au Canada. Ils sont essentiels au virage vert. Les démocraties du monde doivent être capables de les produire pour elles-mêmes et pour les autres. Alors que les constructeurs automobiles modernisent de toute urgence leur chaîne d'assemblage pour fabriquer les véhicules zéro émission, nous ferons en sorte que les Canadiens et les Canadiennes aient les moyens de les acheter. Nous fabriquerons les batteries qui alimentent les voitures et les camions zéro émission et nous investirons dans l'installation de bornes de recharge d'une option à l'autre. Pour nos enfants, la transition verte se traduira par une air plus pure et une eau plus propre demain. Et elle se traduira par de bons emplois pour les Canadiens et les Canadiennes dès aujourd'hui. Our third pillar for growth is a plan to tackle the Achilles heel of the Canadian economy: productivity and innovation. Canadians are the best educated people in the OECD. Our scientists win Nobel Prizes, and our cities are outshining Silicon Valley in creating high-paying technology jobs. Nous accusons toutefois du regard sur le plan de la productivité économique. La productivité est importante parce que c'est ce qui garantit le rêve de tous les parents, à savoir que nos enfants vivront dans un monde plus prospère. C'est un problème canadien bien connu et insidieux. Il est temps que le Canada s'y attaque. Nous proposons de le faire en partie par l'intermédiaire d'une nouvelle agence d'innovation et d'investissement. Elle s'appuiera sur les meilleures pratiques internationales de partout dans le monde. Elle donnera aux entreprises canadiennes de tous les secteurs de l'économie les outils et la volonté dont elles ont besoin pour créer et innover et pour prendre des risques et de croître. Nous encouragerons les petites entreprises à prendre de l'expansion. Nous aiderons les Canadiens et les entreprises canadiennes à mettre au point de la nouvelle propriété intellectuelle. Nous les aiderons à transformer leurs nouvelles idées en nouvelles entreprises et en nouveaux emplois. Monsieur le Président, ces trois piliers investir dans les gens, investir dans la transition verte et investir dans l'innovation et la productivité, créeront des emplois et assureront la prospérité dès aujourd'hui et bâtiront un avenir économique plus fort pour nos enfants. Ils rendront le coût de la vie plus abordable et veilleront à ce que le Canada demeure le meilleur endroit au monde où vivre, travailler et élever une famille. From the first day we started working on this budget, this growth agenda was always going to be our focus. And then Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. On that dark morning of February 24th, a day of infamy, we woke up to a world utterly transformed. When Putin opened fire on the people of Ukraine, he also turned his guns on the unprecedented era of prosperity that the world's democracies had worked so diligently to build over more than 76 years. Our rules-based international order, built from the ashes of the Second World War, today confronts the greatest threat since its inception. And so, our response has been swift and strong. Canada and our allies have imposed the toughest sanctions ever inflicted on a major economy. Russia has become an economic pariah. But the mutilated people of Bucha, shot with their hands tied behind their backs, have shown us that is not enough. Putin and his henchmen are war criminals. The world's democracies, including our own, can be safe only once the Russian tyrant and his armies are entirely vanquished. And that is what we are counting on the brave people of Ukraine to do. Because they are fighting our fight, a fight for democracy. It is in our own urgent national interest to ensure that they have the missiles and the money they need to win. And that is what this budget helps to provide. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has also reminded us that our own peaceful democracy, like all the democracies of the world, depends ultimately on the defense of hard power. The world's dictators should never mistake our civility for pacifism. We know that freedom does not come for free, and that peace is guaranteed only by our readiness to fight for it. That is why we are making an immediate additional investment in our armed forces and propose a swift defense policy review to equip Canada for a world that has become more dangerous. This budget will help provide the fiscal and physical firepower we need to meet any threat that may confront us. And we understand that security includes energy security, which Canada must work to ensure for ourselves and our democratic partners. C'est pourquoi nous investissons immédiatement des fonds supplémentaires dans nos forces armées. C'est également pourquoi nous proposons un examen rapide de la politique de défense pour que le Canada soit prêt à faire face à un monde désarmé plus dangereux. Ce budget fournira les moyens financiers et la puissance physique dont nous avons besoin pour faire face à toute menace qui pourrait se présenter. The convoys of Russian tanks rolling across Ukraine did not change the fundamental goal of this budget, Mr. Speaker. But Putin's attack on Ukraine and that country's remarkable and valiant resistance has reinforced our government's deepest conviction, a line that runs through this budget and in each of the budgets that have preceded it, that the strength of a country does not come solely from the vastness of the reserves of its central bank or from the size of the force in its garrisons. Those do matter, to be sure, but they matter less than democracy itself. They can be defeated. They are being defeated by a people who are united and free, because it is the people who are every country's real source of strength. That is true in Ukraine, and it is true in Canada. So let me explain what we need if we are to build a strong country here at home. We need housing that is affordable for everyone and investments that ensure an entire generation is not priced out of owning a home. We need to fight climate change so that we can leave our children with a livable planet. We need to face up to the sins of our past and ensure that Indigenous peoples in this country are able to live dignified and prosperous lives. We need a healthcare system that allows people to see a doctor or a dentist and to get mental health care too. We need a society that is truly equal for everyone, because the color of your skin or who you love or where you were born should not dictate whether you get to share in the opportunities that Canada provides. We need a robust tax system that ensures everyone pays their fair share. And we need an economy that allows businesses to grow and create good middle-class jobs where everyone can earn a decent living for an honest day's work. Le courageux peuple ukrainien a fait sortir les plus vieilles démocraties du monde du malaise du 21e siècle. Il nous a rappelé que la force d'un pays vient de la force de son peuple. Et il nous a rappelé que la priorité absolue de tout le monde dans cette chambre devrait être de construire un pays pour lequel nous serions tous prêts à nous battre. C'est sur quoi nous avons travaillé lors des 7 dernières années. Et c'est ce que nous continuons à faire aujourd'hui. The brave people of Ukraine have shaken the world's older democracies out of our 21st century malaise. They have reminded us all that the strength of a country comes from the strength of its people. And they have reminded us that there should be no greater priority for everyone in this House than to build a country that we would all be willing to fight for. That is what we have worked to do these past 7 years, and that is what we will continue to do today.